At DIA and Lookout Mountain, check out these sites right here. Both, as you can see, visibility pretty impacted right there. Of course, though, we're hearing at DIA that they actually have about, what, a 1.5 mile clearance right now?
Left-hand side there, can't you? Like, you can see the runway lights there.
And the flags, yeah.
Right, exactly. So you have a little bit of visibility there, but clearly a lot of fog rolling into the area. This morning, cold Arctic air also settling in, and it's going to linger through tomorrow.
Yeah, it looks worse there on the camera than I guess it actually is out at the airport, so that's good news. Now, because of the frigid temperatures, the city of Denver and Westminster have cold weather shelters to help people on the streets stay warm. The city says the Denver Coliseum will be open around the clock until Thursday. Meantime, single men can head to the Denver Rescue Mission. Women can go to the Samaritan House. Both of those shelters are on Lawrence Street. There's also shelter for families with kids at Urban Peak on South Tacoma Street. And then starting today in Westminster, people can head to the MAC. It's located near 72nd Avenue and Federal Boulevard. It will remain open until noon on Thursday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Corey Rose.
And I'm Jordan Chavez. Good morning, everybody. Let's get a check of that forecast now with senior meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Chris, good morning.
Good morning. And yes, we're talking about kind of a lot of little things adding up to a high impact weather morning. So until 9 a.m. we have a weather impact alert for a couple of reasons. One, and the main reason, we have enough snow out there that especially those side streets are pretty slick. We're going to check in with Courtney Yoon for more on that in just a second, but certainly careful of that driving. But also, of course, it's really, really cold out there, right? We've got sub-zero wind chills outside. It's a -6 wind chill out at the airport. Same for us downtown, basically the same thing. Notice those roads are a little bit slick, and this is Spear Boulevard here, but those side streets in particular are going to be on the slick side through this morning. And of course, the mountains still dealing with some snow as well. Eastern Plains and southern Colorado, still some snow, but that is mostly moving out into Kansas, Nebraska, and New Mexico as we speak, but still enough leftover snow that Yuma County as well as Prowers and Baca counties seeing some snow showers. And we did have some earlier snow out in the San Juans. That's mostly come to a close. Northern Colorado, though, could get a little bit of jet stream induced snow tonight. And for northern Larimer, as well as northern Weld and Morgan counties, you could have a fairly busy evening with a few inches of snow possible up that way. Temperatures right now really, really cold. And those overall headlines, just cold and snowy for the next couple of days before we warm up. But I want to send things over to Courtney Yoon for a bit more on what we're seeing on those roads. And Courtney, we've been talking about this. Looks like those main roads, you were saying this a few minutes ago, I-25 mostly just wet with some icy patches. How are those side streets right now?
Hey, good morning, Chris. You know, I've seen the roads worse before in my life, but it certainly isn't a fun drive today. Take a look. We are on Colorado Boulevard. We just passed the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, but the roads are kind of gross. Some parts are pretty snowy and slushy, but it's the ice that's the scariest part because you never know when it might get you. So take it slow because it's really not consistent out here. I will tell you, like you said, the highways, 6th Avenue and I-25 are pretty clear and wet compared to this, but the on and off ramps are pretty slick. So be careful on those because they can take you by surprise. It's also a little difficult to see the lines on the roads here in some parts, so take it slow. Your residential roads and side streets are going to be the worst because those rarely get plowed. So be careful when you're heading out the door. If you are traveling today, I hope it's heading someplace warm, but for real, know there could be some impacts at the airport for you. Right now, Denver International Airport has 43 delays and 10 cancellations. I know that our traffic anchor, Lauren Scafidi, has been keeping a close watch on the roads for us today. Hey, Lauren, any delays out there this morning?
Hey, Courtney, good morning to you. Like you said, it is kind of hard to see some of the spots on the road. You can see the snow just kind of accumulating here in the center, but pretty slow going here on I-25 at Yale Avenue, going northbound away from us, southbound coming towards us. You can see they're really not moving too fast. But let's take a look at our maps because I am tracking a couple of crashes. I want to start you out, though, way up north. We have northbound I-25 closed here. So this is completely closed for a multi-vehicle crash that happened at Highway 392. So really slow moving into I-25 right here. It's just moving 9 miles an hour down here. But again, this is closed from East Crossroads Boulevard up to the Tinmouth area. So definitely something to consider if you are normally taking this route. But I am tracking a couple other crashes. This one's on I-25 too. This is southbound though. The right lane is blocked at 104th Avenue, causing a little bit of a slowdown here in the North Glen area. Otherwise, we see a lot of color, a lot going on here this morning. You have the yellow light if you are taking northbound I-25 from Castle Rock up to 225. That'll take you 27 minutes this morning. And I do want to let you know about some chain and traction laws happening up in the high country. That's going to be between Idaho Springs and Silverthorne, but good news, I-70 is back open this morning. Corey?
That is great news, Lauren. Thank you. A heads up for anyone heading up to the high country today, though. In just 2 hours, a portion of Vail Pass will be closed due to avalanche mitigation. That will be starting at 9 o'clock this morning, so drivers could expect some big delays there. Speaking of avalanches, the Colorado Avalanche Information Center provides a map to show the avalanche danger in the high country. And you can see avalanche warnings are in effect as of this morning, including the Rocky Mountains. Those areas are marked in red, which means high avalanche danger. The center says avalanches can easily be triggered, so stay away from those areas.
Happening today, the remaining 5 buildings at the Edge at Lowry Apartments in Aurora are set to close their doors after a municipal judge granted an emergency order to close the complex.
9 News reporter Brianna Fernandez joins us live along 12th and Dallas. Brianna, residents there now have less than an hour to leave.
Yeah, exactly. So at 8 a.m. this morning, everyone has to be gone. Now that the sun's up and we're getting a better look of what it looks like outside of the Edge at Lowry, let me tell you, we have not seen anyone come in and out of the Edge at Lowry Apartments. So we do have a security officer that's been here on scene all morning. We've seen a couple of them just driving around outside of the apartment complex. We also have that orange safety fence that you see right in front and a lot of boarded up windows. So you guys, it's really unclear how many people are living here at the Edge at Lowry Apartments. So we also just learned that House Keys Action Network Denver will be making a statement outside of the Edge at Lowry at 8 a.m. this morning. The city will be closing the 5 remaining buildings here. So CBZ management ran the complex. Aurora closed down another CBZ property last year for similar issues. This closure at Edge at Lowry comes after months of safety concerns, rundown conditions, and receiving national attention for violent crimes and reported issues involving the Venezuelan gang members Tren de Aragua. The city hired a temporary property administrator to assess the property and then connect tenants with relocation resources. City officials were granted an emergency order last month to shut down the complex. And in that request to close the property, officials referred to numerous calls for service, quality life issues, and an investigation of violent crimes dating back to September of 2023. Now, you guys, the most recent violent crime happened back in December. Police say a couple living there was kidnapped and tortured. The complex also attracted national attention and attention from the Trump administration after this viral video that you're seeing on your screen shows a group of armed men forcing their way into the apartments. Now, people have, again, until 8 a.m. this morning. Anyone who is here still on scene on the property past the 8 a.m. deadline will be arrested for trespassing. That's according to the Aurora Police Department. Now, I did reach out to the Aurora Police Department yesterday. I sent them an email asking if they were going to be here on scene. They said yes, just like any property closure. They're just going to make sure that they're here on scene. Now, as of this morning, we haven't seen any Aurora police officers yet. Of course, that can change in the next hour when that deadline is over for the tenants. For now, I'm live here in Aurora. Brianna Fernandez for 9 News.
Brianna, thank you. Today, the trial against the deputy accused of murdering Christian Glass is set to resume. The defense will try and show the deputy's actions were justified. Andrew Buin is on trial for shooting and killing Glass in 2022 after Buin and other officers broke his car window and tased him. The prosecution rested their case on Friday, where a witness says that Buin's use of force was not warranted and there were other non-lethal methods that he could have tried. Meanwhile, the defense claims his actions were justified because Glass, who was dealing with a mental health crisis, was a threat.
This morning, we are learning Anne-Marie Hochhalter, one of the survivors of the Columbine shooting, has died. She was 17 when her life shifted from teen clarinet player to among the most injured survivors of the shooting in 1999. The high school junior was paralyzed after she was shot in the back. She spent the rest of her days in a wheelchair with long-term medical issues. The death appears to be due to complications from those medical problems. Anne-Marie was 43 years old.
This morning, we're learning more about a plane crash on the tarmac at Toronto Pearson International Airport. The video of this is wild. The plane landed upside down on the runway, and somehow, thankfully, everyone survived. There were 80 people on board, 18 were injured. According to airport officials, the injuries are all relatively minor. It's still not clear what caused the crash. Many say very strong winds may have contributed, but the Transportation Safety Board of Canada will investigate.
This crash adds to the growing list of recent aviation crashes. In the last month, there have been 4 crashes across U.S. skies. In late January, 67 people were killed when a passenger plane carrying members of the U.S. figure skating team collided with a U.S. Army helicopter. A few days later, a medical plane carrying a young girl from Mexico received care, crashed into a Philadelphia neighborhood. All people on board died almost 2 weeks ago, and the plane crashed off the coast of western Alaska, killing all 10 people on the flight. And just last week in Scottsdale, Arizona, one person was killed and 3 others were hurt when a private jet collided with another that was parked. It's important to note that there is no apparent connection between all of them. Our 9 News aviation analyst Greg Feith emphasized that accidents like these are rare.